Good evening, everybody, and welcome to my Facebook Live at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. My name is Jonathan Wilner. I'm owner of Harrington Limousine Service, where we provide peace of mind anywhere, anytime. So, the whole purpose of this is to share a little bit about our company, Harrington Limo, and then to talk about a little bit about our networking group and so forth. So, to start out with Harrington Limo, we've been in business since 1923. And now, since the pandemic has hit, travel has been a little off. Well, there's also a little bit of fear. People need to travel and they're reluctant to use a car service or a limousine service because they don't know what procedures they're taking in order to ensure the safety of the people who travel. Well, just to rest assured that when we say we provide peace of mind anywhere, anytime, that means that not only are we doing everything in our power to ensure that you feel comfortable in our vehicles, but as we provide ground transportation around the world, our affiliates are emulating the same quality of service that we're providing and mimicking the procedures that we follow to ensure that the vehicle that you get into is clean and disinfected. So let me just share with you real quick. Not only do we clean the vehicle on the outside, we clean and disinfect the vehicle on the inside. Now, that's not just enough. We train our chauffeurs to be able to clean and disinfect the vehicle in between passengers. Our chauffeurs maintain good hygiene, obviously, and very important. Wear face masks and gloves during your trip and change them in between passengers so that you have they have clean PPE in between individuals. In addition, they have a little packet that they were trained with as to how to clean and disinfect the passenger's compartment. The last thing is that there's a protective barrier between the chauffeur and the passenger in all our vehicles, in our sedans and our SUVs, even our limo buses. Our stretches have a hard partition between them, so there's really it's a very strong barrier at that point. So we want to make sure that you're aware of the process that we're taking, that we do, and the precautions that we're taking to ensure that you feel comfortable in our vehicles. And like I said, our clients are to feel comfortable not only here in New Jersey, but around the country and around the world, where our affiliates are also performing the same process. So so that's enough about me. And what I want to do is I want to share about this amazing networking group that I belong to, BNI. It's the founders group. We're typically based at the APA Hotel in Woodbridge, but during the pandemic, we're working virtually and we're networking virtually, and it works. It still works because we make sure that we continue our contacts and farm our relationships together. The purpose of this is to expose and introduce you to fellow members of my networking group who I feel that are good contributors to not only networking, but that you may find exceptionally useful. And with that, I'd like to introduce to you who? Colin Hollingsworth from Edward Jones. Colin, come on down. Join us this evening. Oops, switch. There you go.
Thanks,
Welcome to
Jonathan.
my Facebook Live. Hopefully you'll get the kind of exposure that we're looking for you to get. So, Colin, nobody else here knows who you are. Maybe some of them do. Some of the people that are joined us this evening, hopefully, they recognize you and know who you are. But for the rest of the individuals that may be joining us this evening for the first time, they don't know. So, tell us a little bit of where you came from. I mean, you just popped up on my screen, but where do you come from?
Sure. Well, first of all, John, I just want to say thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. I think it's great for us to get out here and to be networking digitally, especially with everything that's going on. Also just a testament to BNI. I think it's really good and really efficient how we help each other. But just to tell you a little bit about myself, first of all, I work with Edward Jones. We are a brokerage firm. I'm a financial advisor with them. I've been with the firm since 2017. Personally, I kind of like to tell everybody about my journey because I think it's a little bit unique compared to your traditional, graduate high school, go to college, get a job, go from there. I grew up in Keensburg, New Jersey, just not sure viewers how local they're going to be or not, but, born and raised in Monmouth County. I've lived there my whole life. Keensburg is a pretty small 1 square mile town. We got the boardwalk,
Yeah.
if, people might be familiar with the boardwalk. When I graduated high school, I actually didn't go straight to school, and that's kind of where my non-traditional route starts. I was always good in school. I just never knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I went to work, and after bouncing around kind of odd job to odd job as a younger person, I ended up in the restaurant business. I found a place that I liked. I started as a busboy, and I literally worked my way up till I was eventually managing the dining room. And it was from the restaurant, that I kind of learned the value of work. And I'll always be a server at heart. I really like the job. But what I learned was when you're in your early 20s and you start to get to your mid to late 20s, that your priorities start to change. At the same time, I would say in the restaurant business, unless you want to be an owner, which is a path that being there for as long as I did was something that I did not want to do, I had to go in a new direction. What was unique was the restaurant that I worked at. I actually was making good connections with folks because we ran on regulars. But at one point, I decided to make the leap and to go back to school. I did 2 years at Brookdale, which is our local community college here in Monmouth County. They have a really awesome partnership with Rutgers University School of Business, where I was able to do 2 years at Brookdale. Then I transferred and did my 2 years at Rutgers, all while working full time at the restaurant to support myself. And when I graduated in May 2018, I was able to start with Edward Jones.
Wow, that's quite a path that you got to Edward Jones. I mean, you had to do a lot in order to get there. School must have been difficult. I can't imagine what that was like, and then all the things that you had to do to get there. How did you pick Edward Jones again? I'm sorry, maybe I missed that. You
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's a funny story and just a testament to networking and how advantageous it is. A gentleman who not worked at, I apologize, who is a regular at the restaurant that I was working at, and I don't throw that gentleman word out there lightly. He's a really, really good guy. I'm not going to say his name, but he knows who he is. He actually introduced me to his son, who is a financial advisor with Edward Jones. He was nice enough to meet me. He knew I was in business school, but like I said, I never knew really exactly what I wanted to do. I always had an interest in, stocks and the stock market, and that's a big part of the business, obviously. But he introduced me to Edward Jones and, their model, their philosophy, their culture. And, from the start, I was really interested in it. And I did an internship program with them my junior going into senior year of college. So that was essentially just like me being a fly on the wall in the office. After that, though, I really realized it was something that I could see myself doing for the rest of my life. So they were nice enough to offer me a part time position. So I continued to work with them part time my whole senior year while at the restaurant. And then, like I said, with that being said, it was nice because I was an internal employee. So that when I graduated in May, it was literally in June, the month after graduation, I started full time with them.
Wow, that's like putting your, really, saying that you had your foot in the door, so to speak. But
I had 2 feet
and
in the door. It's funny, the office that I'm in right now that I work out of currently is the office that I interned out of
where are you located right now?
in Middletown, New Jersey.
Wow. So, what do you think about the type of individual that you serve best? I mean, I know that you and I had this conversation once before,
Hmm.
but I'm just curious, if you had to kind of narrow it down, and you said something earlier this morning that the 50-year-old or 55-year-old says, not, I'm done, forget about it, kind of thing. Like I can't save for retirement. Is that really, would you say that that would be the kind of target audience? Let's get those people in because those are the ones that are thinking that they don't have a chance. And can you help those people? Or would you say that that would be a good target?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we at Edward Jones, first of all, we focus only on retail investors. which what that means is we just work with individual clients. It's not like we do any institutional things like some of the other firms do, the big Wall Street stuff. We're only working one-on-one. And again, the big thing with Edward Jones is that one-on-one personalized service. So that's a really big part of the model. As for an ideal client type, it's funny that you mentioned an age, because it's not necessarily a certain age group that we want to work with, but it's a type of person and a life stage really that they're in. And the term that I use a lot is when people want to get really serious about investing. And, a lot of people are doing a little bit of investing here and there, but what we help our clients do is really have an investment strategy, and it's creating an investment plan. Now, just to circle back to kind of what you touched on about what we talked about this morning is, like I mentioned, I come from a working class background. I grew up in a working class town. And, I know people who are kind of the folks that say, well, there's no way I'm going to ever be able to retire.
That's
And,
right. A
a
lot of
lot of
people.
people, a lot of people say it kind of jokingly, but it's one of those things where you're almost like self-deprecating humor, because you really might think, well, there's no chance I will ever be able to retire. And I hate to laugh, but it's something that we want to help work people through, because we want to help them be able to retire. And, that's just one of the things that we help our clients with. It's obviously one of the more popular ones and one of the bigger goals that we want to help folks accomplish. But regardless of what your retirement looks like, we want to sit you down and see if you're on track to get to that retirement goal. And maybe there is a shortfall here, there, or the other way. But the point is, once we sit down and establish where we are today, that's how we can help attack and create a plan to get us to where we want to be. If
So,
we're not
so it
creating a
is
plan,
feasible, right?
yeah, I mean, we just have to crunch the numbers, which is kind of the nerdy stuff that we do. But again, we don't want to sit someone down and just say, hey, there's no chance you're ever going to retire. Sorry, get out the door. Thanks for coming in. We're going to talk with you, and we might have to change some things, whether it's your retirement age, how much you're saving on a monthly or a yearly basis, your retirement spending. But again, we're going to help our clients alter that goal accordingly, and then create a plan and put it in place to try to get them there.
Wow, that's awesome information. I just really want to touch base, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're just joining us now. We're doing our Facebook Live. Starts at 7 o'clock. I'm here with Colin Hollingsworth, with Edward Jones, and I'm Jonathan Wilner with Harrington Limo, and we're talking about Colin and Edward Jones and what he does, and then we're also talking about BNI, how we got together because of BNI. So. My other question to you is, the pandemic started several months ago, and a lot of people, it's changed so many people's lives, and the way they invest and where they fund, and, and their future, the way they think about their future. I mean, like, what's going on? How do you feel that the pandemic has actually changed the way you structure your day, your life, the way you do business? Tell me how it's impacted.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many ways, and it's kind of like one of those things like where to start. And what I would tell people is in March, March of 2020 was my 1 year anniversary of my Edward Jones practice. So, I was right in the thick of it with everybody. That's kind of, into the out
Funny,
of the
but not.
fire into the fire. Exactly. But I mean, there's so many things that have changed. This, for instance, networking online is a big part of it. If you would have told me in January that I was having 90% of my client and prospective client meetings via Zoom, I would have laughed and said, no way. Because before that, I was meeting all my clients and prospective clients face to face, either in the office or at their house. Working from home, I'm probably in the office 4 days a week at this point now, but I am spending a lot more time working from home with a laptop. I mean, there are just so many things that have changed. And, that's not even discussing, obviously, the market implications of coronavirus. Back in March, we had a 30% decline in the market. So, those are big red flags for people. People get really stressed out if they say their portfolio dropped that much.
Hmm. I
That's a
can
lot of the
believe that.
times where, yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's a lot of times where we can add value as advisors, as being sounding boards for our clients, and, helping them get through the tough times. Because what we say a lot in the business is, every advisor is your best friend when the market's crushing and everybody's doing well. But when the market is down, that's when you really want to be hearing from your advisor. And that's kind of how we can differentiate ourselves. And, I've been doing pretty well, thank God, the past couple of months. But if you talk to me back in March, April, May, I might not have such a plucky demeanor. But what we've talked a lot with our advisors in the area and in the region with Edward Jones, some of the veteran advisors, one of my mentors, and what a lot of them said: if you can get through this, you can get through anything. So it's kind of just one of the things that I say a lot is there's no substitute for hard work. So you kind of just put your nose to the grindstone and power through.
Well, that's good. Everybody's kind of struggling with the finances of everything. Do you have any good tips that maybe you can share with us? And I mean, I bet you that in January, had you invested heavily into Zoom, for
Yeah.
uh, you might be a much wealthier person today than you were in January. Is that a lot of technology companies out there that their numbers have escalated, skyrocketed?
Yeah, we try to stay away from product and specific stock selection. One of the things we always say is time in the market is always better than timing the market. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody really knows what's going to happen in the future. If I had one, I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere just trading. Um,
Right.
a really helpful tip, and it's something that a lot of people, like I mentioned, think of us. They think of like we're stockbrokers. We pick stocks, but a really good tip for folks, and this is not investment but budgeting. Just create a monthly budget for yourself. That can go a really long way in helping you realize as a household, or, if you're single, figuring out what you're spending. If you're married as a household, figure out what you're spending as a household. And it's a really great starting point to get an idea of, okay, this is what our money is doing on a monthly basis.
Oh
And
man,
then we
I'm
can start to
horrible.
work things with our clients from there. And I know it's really tough times, and that's why we always say, we partner with our clients for the long run, because we're not just going to set them up with a plan and say, good luck, see you later. That's why we're always in contact with our clients, because, it's easy to create a plan, but executing it is another thing.
Wow. So let's touch a little bit about BNI. I mean, that's good information, but you're in BNI, so I'm kind of curious. I know why I did it. But don't worry about me for a second. What made you believe that you should join BNI, and then how did you pick the group, which is the founders of our BNI, the one that we belong to together? How did you do that? I mean, you're a smart guy. I'm sure you
I
did
like
some
to think.
math, algorithms, I don't know, some calculations.
Yeah.
So tell me how you got to first tell me, I'm sorry, let me digress for a second. First, tell me why you chose to join a BNI and then how you picked our chapter.
Sure. So, I mean, just first of all, obviously, networking is a huge, name of the game for something like me and what I do. I was referenced to BNI through a veteran advisor with Edward Jones, whose opinion I really trust a lot. So that was how I got introduced specifically to BNI. I had joined networking groups before BNI, though, and frankly, none of them have I had nearly as much success as I had with BNI. And what I learned with a lot of the networking groups, as you go and you pass business cards, there's not a whole lot of structure, and that's really one of the big differentiators of BNI, where everything is structured. And just like my business, we track our business plan. We track the things that we do to try to get to the goals we want to get to. That was a big difference maker with BNI, that they're tracking those inputs, like one-to-ones, which is appointments with folks in BNI. For those of you that don't know, we track referrals given, referrals received, thank you for closed business. And the fact that you track all those things, it makes accountability. So you want to make sure that everybody's participating. And I think it really just created a structured environment where the term that I use is, I don't want to disparage anything in particular, but, some of the networking groups I joined, we used to say, you're kind of like playing business. You're not actually doing business. And in BNI, we're doing business. We're not playing business.
Wow, that's cool. So, all right. So that explains because you like the structure and the accountability that BNI brought to the table for you, and based on a recommendation from a mentor, somebody that you value their opinion. So now you said, okay, now I got to join BNI, or at least I have to look into it because somebody said that I should. Now you probably had to look into where to go to next. So how did you pick? I mean, I know that I was introduced to you by another Edward Jones guy who I think is Curtis Mullins. He's also another former BNI person, and he recommended, hey, I got this guy, Colin Hollingsworth, real up and rising star. I really think you should invite him to the meeting and have him come and join. So I invited you, but what was the influence for you to join our group?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I liked about the group is it was very, once I came to the first appointment, which, way back when we were doing face to face appointments still, what is that? But the energy in the group was really good when, as a guest, when I first visited. And I think this is a nice little trick that BNI does is they actually go over in the meetings all the referrals that people are passing and all the business that people are passing. And like I said, it just illustrates it's like, wow, these people are, like he just told him he gave him two referrals. He just said he thanking him for closed business. He's thanking him for, she's thanking her for two referrals. So you see that business is actually being passed and you're like, well, this is great. Like, for me, it was a no brainer. It was like, I have to get in on this. And then obviously one of the other things that with BNI that we really like is that there's only one seat per profession. So, it's tough again, especially with what I do. Every networking you go, there's five bankers, six advisors, five life insurance guys, and five advisors who do all three. So it's nice to be the only one in the group, and it seems so far that everybody respects the guidelines that you're supposed to refer to the folks in the group that do the specific business.
Right. And how do you feel you're being treated, or do you feel that people are reaching out to you? Do you think that are people helping you try to achieve your goals within BNI? Do you feel that you're getting that kind of support?
Yeah, of course, for sure. I mean, one of the things that I say a lot, and there's two main things that I get out of BNI, and the first is obviously the referrals, which right now with everything that's going on in the world, I say this all the time in the meeting, John. You know that every referral is worth twofold for me right now. But the second thing that I get out of it as a younger entrepreneur is just being around folks like you, other guys in the group who have been in business, regardless of what their business is but for a longer time. And
Right.
what I get to do is I get to pick your guys' brains, and it's intangible things just about running a business that really helps me. That's the second thing that for me is almost just as important that I get out of it. And from older guys, and no offense, Sean, but to me, you're an older guy.
I am. I am. I can't help it. You
But
know.
it's nice to get another person who you can see kind of as a de facto mentor. You just see that there's older guys who have been in business in the group that want to see me be successful.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you're able to have that experience and get that feeling from the fellow members in our chapter. One of the things that I need to ask you is that let's reach out to you know the masses right now. We have a lot of people's attention. Who should we invite? I mean, we meet every Tuesday at 7 a.m. and we do it virtually, so there's no travel, there's no traffic, there's no travel. It really you can do it anywhere. Who are the? Let's yell out to a couple professions that we feel that can do good, not only for yourself but for our chapter. So, what's your insight? Who do you think that we should say? Hey, come on down.
Two that I can think of off the top of my head that would be good. One for the group, and then one I'll be selfish for myself.
Of
For the
course.
group, I think a commercial real estate agent would be really prime for the group. We have a really active, real estate segment in the group, and a lot of groups have little underlying segments like, I work a lot with the CPA and the estate attorney, and then we have a mortgage broker, a realtor, a real estate attorney who do a lot of business with each other.
Right.
So I think the commercial real estate agent would be a good fit, especially for that really active, real estate transaction part of the group. And then selfishly for me, I think another person for the group that would be beneficial for me would be a personal injury attorney. And personal injury attorneys often are working with folks who are coming in to lump sums of money. And, maybe it's someone who has never really had much money to work with. And, that's a prime time life event for us to think about that we can possibly help them create a plan for that money. So,
Well, that's awesome. It really two good um, types of individuals that we would like to see. So, all right. So there are people that are listening or watching or eventually going to watch. So, anybody know a personal injury attorney, or maybe you are one, and you'd like to come and visit with the rest of our members and see what kind of business if there really is. And the other one was
commercial realtor.
Yeah, commercial realtor. So I know a couple commercial realtors, and I know you're watching. I see some of you out there. Um, Come on, we need a personal injury attorney and a commercial realtor. Let me see if we can. I'll buy you a cup of coffee. I'll buy you breakfast. If you reach out to either Colin or myself and join us for one Tuesday morning meeting, and really, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I think that if you come and visit with us, even virtually, you'll experience what Colin did with the warmth and the relationship building that we have to offer. Do you agree, Colin?
Yeah, and I think you said it best, Sean. I mean, it really doesn't even take a huge commitment now that we're meeting via Zoom. It's, I know it's early for some people, 7 a.m., not for you, but for some people. But I mean, really, just wake up. You don't even have to throw pants on. Just keep the shirt and the suit jacket.
Come on.
I have pants on. Don't worry. I won't stand up. But
I don't. Never mind. I never put pants on.
It's just not a huge obligation to come, log on to Zoom, hang out, see what the group is about. And like I said, I think they'll enjoy it just as much as I did when I first came.
Well, that's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us this evening. Colin Hollingsworth, Edward Jones, Jonathan Wilner, Harrington Limo. And don't forget the founders through BNI, 7 a.m. Tuesday morning. Reach out to us and, you'll see what you're missing. All right, we'll see you next Tuesday. I have a surprise guest next Tuesday. So stick around and you'll see it on Facebook who it's going to be.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Colin. I appreciate you coming by this evening or, showing up. You didn't come over, but you did show up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, maybe soon we'll be able to meet face to face again.
Yeah, soon enough.
Patience.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Good night.